Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently, I don't know what time it is. I think it's like 6:15 or something like that. And maybe a little bit later than that. And it is cold. It is cold outside. I should have grabbed a hoodie. But I'm actually washing. I know one hoodie, maybe another. I did a big load of wash today. And so that stuff is in the dryer right now. And I'm going to have to put that on later. I don't know that this is going to be a night where I can sit outside. It's cold. Like, it was supposed to be like 65, 66 today. And when I was getting ready to get dressed to go to my doctor's appointment, I looked up the weather and it said it was 68. It wasn't that cold when the sun was shining. But now, sitting on the front porch, when there's a little bit of a breeze and I can actually feel it, which I usually can't up here, but I can feel it tonight. It's chilly outside. I mean, it's probably, I would say, in the mid-50s or something. I mean, it's dropped. Which I know to you guys probably doesn't sound like real cold for some of you that live in that weather all year round. But when you've gone from like 89 one day where it was like, felt like 95 to 50s the next day, it's cold outside. I still have my shorts on, so it's cold outside. And I have just been, since I got home, I got home about, I think my Uber ride said they were dropping me off at 5:09. So I got home about 10 after 5. And I filmed a drama video and a review video. I actually hadn't planned on posting this or filming this review video. But if you watch my review channel, I did a video about Truff products. And they ended up sending me a lot more, with the intention of doing a video to be able to give a 15% discount for people that watch the video. Because they were like so excited about me really enjoying the products, and they said, we want to do something for your audience. That was so nice to watch the video, so let's give a discount. So I was like, okay, that makes me happy. So they sent me a bunch more products. They've been so nice. And so I did that review video because I have been working on cleaning the kitchen and the downstairs. I mean, Alex and I are just really not that messy anyway. Like, you know, he'll put on, like, he has one of those big, like, every time I say it's like a Snuggie, he goes, it's not a Snuggie, it's something else, but it's like a blanket, but it has like a hood, and it's like a, you know, you wear it like a sweatshirt, but it's like, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, he bought one for his grandma, he bought one for Sarah, he loves his, and his is like royal blue. I don't know, maybe somebody sent it to us, I can't remember, but anyway, he loves it. Or maybe I bought it and did a review, I can't remember, but anyway, maybe somebody sent it to us. I don't remember, but Alex wears it like all the time to watch TV, and he swears by this thing. But like, we have like a whole pile of like blankets in this corner over there by the couch. And so, I mean, if he uses a blanket or if I use a blanket, we always fold them up when we're done and put them back in the corner, you know, in the kitchen. Like, we don't just have dishes out in our sink. We always put them away in the dishwasher. We always, you know, like if the dishwasher is full, we always, you know, run it and then unload. I mean, just typical things that people do. But, you know, our house is just, it's orderly. It's just not spotless. We're not like OCD about the cleanliness of it. But I like, Tanya and I always talk about this, like when our husbands go out of town, like the first thing that we do is like, I was talking about this yesterday, you know, changing the sheets and like making the bedroom really nice and lighting candles and all that kind of stuff. So I've been cleaning up the house because Alex leaves tomorrow. So I was actually cleaning the kitchen and got rid of a bunch of stuff and got rid of a bunch of like food that was old in the refrigerator. And I tried to eat that Jet's pizza last night. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good either. It was so funny because my neighbor today, his wife is out of town for the weekend. And so we've been talking about how we're bachelors for the weekend, and which always reminds me of Pee-Pee, because we would, the little chihuahua that I had, or Alex and I have Alex's dog that he brought into our relationship, but he ended up becoming my best friend, and I would always sing that song, that Pee-Pee and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. It's Pee-Pee and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. Don't worry about us, because we'll be just fine with Boo and Tucker too. But anyway, so he was bringing in pizza. I go, did you get pizza? Because I knew it was Jet's Pizza, right? And he goes, yeah, Jet's Pizza. And I was like, oh my God, that's my favorite. So he was having Jet's Pizza tonight. I got a Well, this is actually not a pumpkin cream cold brew. So my doctor's office is at the hospital, and there's a Starbucks on the main level. So before I got my Uber on the way home, I got this. This is a pumpkin cream. It's like an iced coffee, and they added like pumpkin cream stuff to it. It's, if you work at Starbucks, you can tell me. It's PCCFIC. I don't know what that means. But she said that they were out of the cold brew or something, so whatever. I don't know. It's delicious. It's good. It reminds me of fall. I've really, really been craving today soup and grilled cheese or soup and peanut butter. And in fact, I think my friend Valerie's going to take me maybe to the grocery store tomorrow or Saturday, but I got on like DoorDash or Amazon Fresh or one of those, and I was looking because when we were on lockdown, I used to order a lot of these soups, and they were so good. And they were Campbell's Slow Kettle or Slow something. And I'm like all over the place in this vlog, aren't I? But anyway, and there was one that was like tomato and Havarti. And then there was another one that was like tomato and sweet basil. And then there was like 4 or 5, and they were really, really good. I think reading my aunt's cookbook yesterday made me in the mood for soup. So, yeah, I'll probably have that for dinner tonight, like a soup and a grilled cheese or soup and a peanut butter sandwich. But anyway, I've been cleaning the kitchen, getting, like, throwing away food that's not good anymore. My Jets Pizza, I sat down and I tried to eat it, and it wasn't good, like, at all. So, threw that out. What else? There's only like crumbs left of the crumble cookies. We'd already eaten through. Alex had had like 2.5 of one. I was kind of surprised. And clean the kitchen, clean the living room area. I'm gonna do some more cleaning this weekend. I'm gonna try to do some like kind of like deep cleaning stuff, so when he comes home, like the house is like really nice and whatever. I was gonna change the sheets, but I actually think like the night before he gets home, I'm gonna like take all the linens off and wash everything, and then they can be like really clean for him when he comes home, because I like to like make the bed really nice for him and stuff, you know, when he gets home. And then yeah, so last night I got so tired. What did I do last night? What was yesterday? Wednesday. But why was I tired? Like, I got up, I feel like I went and I did something. I vlogged. I don't remember, but I was tired. And when Alex got home, he was home when I was vlogging yesterday, I think. So anyway, I got done vlogging. I was uploading my vlog. Oh, and that's when I sat down to eat something. And he was upstairs looking through stuff, trying to figure out what he was going to take to San Diego for his trip this weekend. And so then I went upstairs, and that was when he was coming downstairs, and I said, I'm going to lay down for like an hour, and he was like, well, I thought you wanted to watch Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because it was supposed to be like a really good episode, and I said, I did, but I just can't even keep my eyes open. So I literally laid down for like an hour, and he shouted up, he was like, are you ready to watch Beverly Hills? My alarm had just gone off, and I was like, yep, and so I came downstairs, and I had gotten some candy. I had gotten like a Heath bar and these chocolate covered peanuts. I think I talked about that the night before, so I was eating those. We watched Real Housewives, Beverly Hills, and then I came outside and I talked to Tanya for a long time, and I was super tired. And so I went upstairs, and he was like playing his game in bed. He was already tucked into bed, and so he was with like little Boo Radley. And I said, I think I'm just gonna lay down for just a little bit. I always say that. And I woke up like at 10 till 2. So I came down here, and it was, at that point, it was starting to get cold, you could tell, but it wasn't like cold yet, but like it was changing, because like it was kind of breezy outside and stuff. And I just saw somebody walk. It must be my neighbor, because they just walked, and then, oh wait, they're coming up this way. Hello? It's my neighbor. I could hear him going in his door. So I came out here because I wanted to watch some of that Dahmer show. I'm trying to stay offline and not read everybody talking about the show, because people are like spoiling stuff left and right on the show. I mean, it really is just the case of Jeffrey Dahmer, and then it goes back in time and kind of talks about how he became who he became and all this kind of stuff. But I got on Twitter and I started reading this stuff, and this point of view is really, I'm going to pull you guys a little bit closer. The point of view is like kind of interesting to me. I 100% agree with what people are saying. So I kind of want to have a conversation about this. And I actually made a decision last night, like, of these shows that I watch, because, and I don't think I'm going to do it with like shows that I watched, like, hey, I don't think I'm going to do it with shows that I watched like 6 months ago, because what's the point? But I think going forward, like when I finish a show on my Peter Does Stuff channel, I'm going to do a series over there that's just going to be like a playlist. But that's where I keep them. That is going to be called like TV Talk. And it's literally going to just be me sitting on camera, like on my bed, talking about these shows. And complete spoiler. So like you would have to, like, I'm going to say, like, watch the show before you watch this video, because I'm going to spoil everything and just give my full 100% opinions about them. I think that's what I'm going to start doing over on my Peter Does Stuff channel. I don't really feel like it's a review, because a lot of times, or often when I'm watching these shows, they're not necessarily reviews of the television show. They're my response to the television show. It's more of just a discussion. And so I want to put that on my Peter Does Stuff channel, I think. But I am going to go back to some of the shows that I watched and do a response to it. Like, I think I'm going to do the Deep End, the Teal Swan one. I think I might do the Victoria's Secret one. I think I deleted my notes on it because I took notes while I was watching it. But if I still have the notes, then I'm going to do the Victoria's Secret Angels and Demons one. If not, then I won't do that one. But and I'm going to do Sins of Our Mother. But going forward, I'm going to start, so like when this Dahmer one is done, when I watch it and finish it, which will probably be in a day or two, because I'm on the 4th episode and there's only 10 episodes, I'm going to, I think I finished the 4th episode last night. I'm going to do like a response to it, because I feel like there's a lot to talk about, you know? So let me know if you like that idea. That's going to be on my Peter Does Stuff channel. I also have some other video ideas over there. Like, I'm going to show you guys, like, I know this is so corny, but I'm corny, like, not like I haven't been called that before, or cheesy. But I think I'm going to show you guys like my top 5 or 10 pairs of shoes, because I love shoes. And because, you know, I've struggled with my weight, it's like I haven't been able to get that excited about clothes. So in the last couple years, I bought more shoes. So I think I'm going to do that. And then I also have like this thing in our bathroom that's like on our counter, and it holds like all of our hair supplies and stuff. And I have to do an unhaul, because honestly, like, we use like 4 things that we put in there, like deodorant, 2 hair products, and that's it. And like, other than that, we don't use any of the products. And so I just need to do an unhaul and just get rid of all those products. Most of those products have been in there forever anyway. So I thought that would be a cute video to do over there as well. And I've got a couple review videos. But I want to talk about this Dahmer thing for a second, because, like I said, I don't disagree. This isn't going to ruin the show, okay? I just want to make this very, very clear. This is a discussion about true crime, the victims, and whatever. I'm not going to talk about the show whatsoever. So this won't, if you're watching a show, it will not spoil it for you. But it was trending on Twitter. So I went to go look at the trending tweets, and I looked at like the top tweets. And the common thread from the tweets were people saying things like, everybody congratulating Evan Peters on doing such a fantastic job in acting, not remembering the victims. Everybody saying that Evan Peters is a perfect example. He knew the assignment of, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer, but why are people not talking about the victims, right? I totally agree with that statement, just to put that out there, okay? I think that if you're going to talk about a case as prolific as Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer, it is vital to talk about the victims. If Mel is watching this right now, she is nodding like this, okay? if you have ever been to one of our True Crime Book Club live streams, we talk about the victims. We focus on the victims. And in fact, one of the things that we really talk about when we talk about whether a book is well done or not is how much attention was paid to the victim. How much, I mean, are we making, you know, are we looking at somebody like John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer and Eileen Wuornos and these people? Are we, well, she's kind of as crazy as she was, I also feel to some degree like she was a little bit of a victim of our society, but she's a little different, but still a serial killer. You know, are we idolizing these people, you know, like Richard Ramirez and things like that? Not idolizing them, but are we like making them notorious and focusing the attention on them, or are we focusing the attention on the victim? And if you have Audible, there is a fantastic book called I Am God. I don't remember who it's about, but in a lot of these high profile cases, a lot of the people that you hear about, like Paul Holes, that was in, you know, that worked with the, what do you call it? The Golden State Killer case. Like, he has been in a lot of these cases. He has been consulted in a lot of these cases. He actually has a new book out on Audible that I need to get and listen to. If I could ever finish this Simone St. James book that I'm listening. Alex asked me last night, he's like, how are you coming on that book? And I said, I have 2.5 hours left. I think once I finish it, I'll just be like, Audible, 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 Audible. Because I told him, I said, I've read 53, or I've watched 53 shows this year so far. And he goes, how many books have you read? And I go, nah, and 12. I said no. And he goes, so did I go, he goes, does it make you proud that you've watched that many TV shows? I go, well, it's easy. It's not like, you know, reading a book or whatever, but I don't know why I don't see them the same way, but I don't. So anyway, I know people are like, oh, the people that don't like me out there, I was going to say my haters, the people that don't like me out there, they're like, oh, Peter's so proud of himself because he watched 53 shows this year. I am proud of myself. I couldn't sit and watch one show a year. Remember that? I used to sit and talk about. So yeah, I'm happy that I did, and that's why I keep a list. And yes, people in my life that don't hate me, that love me, they laugh at it too and think it's ridiculous. And that's okay. We can laugh at ourselves for being ridiculous, you know. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, so I was talking about, you know, these serial killers and stuff. There's this book, and it's called I Am God, and it's about the DC shooter. And the way that it's an Audible exclusive, I think, Audible original. And the way that the story is told, I didn't know anything about the case of the DC shooter. And so the way that it was told, and that's all I want to say, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody that wants to read the book. Because like I said, I didn't know anything about the case, so I didn't know the kind of secrets behind the case. But at the end and throughout, you hear the voices of the survivors, or the survivor, or the families of the victims. At the end, they even do this part where they talk about, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like when you do, there's like sentencing, and then there's like the victim sentencing, and it's where the victims or the survivors or the families of the victims get to speak to that person. And it's so profound, you guys. Like, there was this one woman, and she's like, her sister was killed, and I think it's her sister or cousin. And she's like, you know, and she talks about having hate in your heart and just not being able to hold on to that, and like that just doesn't do any good for her. And so anyway, but it's like there's so much attention paid to the victim in the stories. And I'm not going to say that every book that we've read, there's tons of attention paid to the victim, but that is something that we talk about in every case that we've like read and talked about, you know, that well, where do they focus their attention on the victim and things like that. And I will tell you, in the show Dahmer, there's not much attention paid to the victims. There just isn't. Like, I mean, they don't go in and talk about the family history. As far as I've gotten, they haven't. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, with some of these people. So, all of Twitter, all of social media is in this uproar and outrage over the fact that this show, you know, that people are like, oh my God, this show is so good. Well, first of all, I have to personally say, I think the show is really slow. Just as a show, watching it as a television show, I find myself like pulling up my phone and go, and like, I mean, it's kind of boring at times, honestly. when they're going back, and like I don't love watching shows when they do, like, you know, they go back in time and explain stuff and all that. I mean, I know enough about Jeffrey Dahmer that I don't need to see all that kind of stuff. I could care less about all that, you know. I actually think the show would have been more interesting had they taken it just from, like, at the point of, like, when he gets arrested, closely to that time going forward. Because there's been other shows that have been done talking about his past and his high school years and stuff like that. So anyway, I understand people's outrage and their uproar and being upset about where are the victims in this and why aren't the victims, you know, everybody's congratulating Evan Peters on what a fantastic job he does playing Jeffrey Dahmer. He does do a fantastic job. I mean, he literally is Jeffrey Dahmer in the show. You watch this show, like, you forget it's Evan Peters. It's Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, he is Jeffrey Dahmer. It is so eerie. Evan Peters, I think, is one of the greatest actors of our time, just like I think Sarah Paulson is one of the greatest actresses of our time. I think it's, and if you do not believe that Sarah Paulson is a great actress because you've only seen her in American Horror Story, go watch Impeachment. We haven't finished it. I think we got halfway through. But Sarah Paulson as Linda Tripp is spooky strange. I mean, she is Linda Tripp. So, listen to my stretch shorts. Gotta love a good Target, Goodfellow stretch short. They're my favorites, right? But anyway, but you know, I was sitting here and I was reading this and I thought, and there were some people that I really respected that always want to have an opinion about everything, right? Now, I feel like I can speak to true crime quite a bit. For, you know, 2.5 years, 3 years, I've co-hosted a true crime book club. I've watched every true crime documentary that's come out. I have followed true crime forever. You know, I have watched all of these stories through the years very closely, even when they weren't, when true crime wasn't a big thing and all this kind of stuff, right? Where has the public outrage been for all of these other cases? You know, I was thinking about, okay, my battery died. And I took that as an opportunity to go and see what Boo Radley was doing because he was barking a little bit at the neighbor dog. I don't even know what I was talking about now. I was talking about that show Dahmer and you know, but like, okay, with having this book club through the years and stuff like that, it's like, that's one of the things that we always closely look for, right? Is like, has there been, you know, is the victim considered in this? Are they talking about their background? You know, is there homage paid to the victim and things like that? Or is this just a book that glorifies or talks about what this person does, right? Or did. And I think it's an important discussion to have. And in all honesty, and in reading true crime from, let's say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I mean, if you read a book like, oh, I can't think of her name, shoot. The Stranger Beside Me by, why can't I think of her name? And anyway, about Ted Bundy, there's not really a whole lot of discussion about the victims. There's their name, there's a little bit of background to them, but it doesn't go into this huge discussion about, you know, who they were as victims and things like that. And I think it's a really interesting conversation to have, but like, let's be for real. You know, there is so much focus on true crime shows, on true crime docudramas that are on Netflix. I mean, those are like the shows that you put, like, look at Sins of Our Mother. Like, it just came out and it's already like on the top 10 list, right? And that's about a 7-year-old and like a 16-year-old that were murdered by their mother and stepfather, right? And so, you know, it's like, I wonder where the public outrage is for all of it. You know, like, why are we not always focusing on the victim as we should? You know, why are we not always talking about, you know, like, who they were and like, and in all honesty, it's like, you can't, like, you're not going to read a book, right, about Richard Ramirez or watch a show about Jeffrey Dahmer and the whole show is going to be about backgrounds of those victims. But there is a way to do it. There is a way to weave those stories in there, right? To pay homage. That's not what Ryan Murphy wants to do with this show, and I understand that. You know, I think the hardest thing was, I read this one person's statement, and they were like the family of one of the victims that had died. And they said that they're really angry with the show because for them, they have to relive it all over again, right? Which I can't even imagine how difficult that would be. Well, interestingly enough, I had just finished this documentary about the Ken and Barbie cases in Canada. I can't remember what their names were. But if you watch Don't F with Cats, the woman, I don't know why I can't remember their names. The woman is who he claimed to date. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Anyway, it was this couple and they had killed these girls and stuff. Well, they had videotape footage of all of this. And the one mother of one of the girls worked really, really hard to get this footage destroyed. Because every time that it would come up in like a court trial, or every time, like even just existing in a box out there, the fact that somebody, if the case came up, if something with the case came up again, and a detective could go and refer to it and have to watch it up again, the mother felt like that the daughter, like, it was like reliving it all over again. And it was a really interesting perspective that I honestly had never really thought of before, you know, about, I mean, like, to that specific of situation. So I can't even imagine being a family member and having this documentary out there, you know, or this docudrama out there about what had happened, you know, to my child and this whole case. Like, I think that would be absolutely horrific, right? Remove them from the picture. Why is it that it takes a show on Netflix that's trending with Evan Peters and Ryan Murphy? Why does it take a show like that for people to have this moment of clarity where it's like, oh, this is horrible? We've been doing this for quite some time in society, right? Like, there's been a lot of shows like that, right? You know, like Monster with Charlize Theron. I mean, she won an Academy Award for that. There's been a lot of situations like this. And I just, you know, I hope that this is a moment where, like, all of us realize that these were human beings. You know, and I don't know. I will tell you that the other common theme on when you read on social media, which is just, it's when you watch the movie, it is unbelievable. I mean, it really, really is how blatant the police's homophobia and Jeffrey Dahmer's white privilege allows him to continue to kill. Like, I mean, it is unbelievable. Like, and I kind of heard that reading things. The thing is that there really aren't that many great documentaries and books out about the Jeffrey Dahmer killings and what all that happened. I know that because that was something that people kept on asking Mel and I to, like, pick as a book to read for the True Crime Book Club, and we couldn't really find one that wasn't super dated or had been researched well or paid homage to the victims and, you know, treated them with respect. And so we couldn't really find anything. And so it's interesting to me, though, but I had heard, you know, from people that, like, lived in that area at the time and whatever. And, you know, like I said, this was my using era. And then I remember this case after I got sober, because he died around the time that I got sober. The police negligence is just, it's unbelievable to me, you know. I would tell you this, if you're going to watch it, I wouldn't read the Twitter threads because it does give a lot away. And there's a lot But when you're done watching, or if you're into it a little bit, like, go in there and read it, because it's interesting to hear what people have to say. It really is, you know. I don't know what I think of it so far. Like I said, I mean, it's slow. It does a lot of, like, bouncing back. The first episode is just, that's kind of like the pull you in episode, and then the episodes after that are just, like, they're a lot of back in time. I will say this, and this is not spoiling it, because I'm sure, but there's a scene in there where they have to tell his dad what's happened. And it is just so hard to watch, you know, because... Like, his dad's always kind of thought... I guess his dad wrote a book. I didn't know that. Like, we never... When I was looking at books about him, I didn't see that book. And his brother, like, changed his name and, like, has never been associated with the whole family or anything. But... His dad always thought he was a weird kid, but, like, never on that level. I mean, it hasn't gotten to the point where his dad's real involved in it for me. But, like, there's a scene where he's in, like, the police department, and, like, they leave him alone for a moment, and he just, like, kind of loses it when they, like, tell him, like, the specifics about what they found in the apartment. Now, I do remember that. I don't know how I remember that. Do you know it's weird? Like, as you get older and people say, like, do you remember where you were at a certain, like, like, when certain events happened? Like, I definitely remember where I was when 9/11 happened. I was at work. My supervisor and I, we were the only ones there for, like, in that morning, and we were waiting for other people to come in. And she was like, as soon as they come in, because they were working longer shifts, she was like, I'm going to relieve you and you can go home. Boo Radley and the neighbor dog. I mean, they are going at it. And then I remember my ex was in Seymour, Indiana, and I called him, and, like, traffic was so slow getting home. And this was, like, I mean, in the morning, right? And I remember I went to Donato's Pizza, and I got a sandwich, which I almost never got at Donato's Pizza. And I sat there, and I remember I was the only one in there. And there was a TV in the corner that was, like, showing the news. Boo Radley! Boo, honey! And so, they talk back and forth to each other. Do you hear this? So anyway, and I remember watching, like, the news footage of it, and then I went home. I remember my mom calling me, and she was very, very upset. Where else? What are other things that I remember happening? There was something else that I was going to say. Both Boo and my neighbor dog, like, if we put them out in the backyard, they just bark. Like, that's all they do. Boo Radley will just walk up and down and just, like he's, like, talking to people. Welcome to my life. Boo! I wish my neighbor would put in his dog. That way Boo would stop barking. What was I going to say was, like, the other thing that I remembered when it happened. Now I can't remember. Stuff like where you feel like just, like, time has stopped, you know? I remember my mom talking about, she remembered, like, the day that Kennedy was assassinated, and she remembered where she was and all that kind of stuff. I feel like to our parents, there's this thing that my camera is doing. I don't know what it is, but it's like this big red box goes, flashes on, off, on. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Like, I remember the O.J. Simpson thing happening. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. He's not listening to me. But it's later than I thought it was, so I'm going to get off here in just a couple minutes so I can get my stuff done. But anyway, because Alex is going to be home in just a little bit, what was I going to say? I remember the O.J. Simpson thing happening because, like, when he was driving around Los Angeles, I was using at that time. And I was dating this guy, and his best friend lived in my apartment complex with his boyfriend. And they all came over, plus like 4 other people, to my apartment complex. And I remember we like sat there and we all walked to my apartment complex, to my apartment. And I remember we all just sat there and like watched it, like live action news for like ever. I remember that. I remember the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. Like, I don't remember watching it like on the news, like the O.J. Simpson stuff. But I definitely remember it happening. Like, I remember, like when I was watching a show and they like showed like them carrying stuff out of the apartment, like it was like, it felt like I could remember seeing that on news coverage of them like carrying the stuff out and talking about what they had found on like news coverage and stuff like that. It felt very familiar to me. So yeah, I mean, there's certain stories that I feel like, and it's crazy to me that I can't think of what they are now, but like when they happen, you know, you just kind of like, it's like time stops a little bit, you know? And then I think it's not weird, but like things in your own personal life that happen, like that you'll never forget where you were when, you know, like I'll never forget where I was, like when my dad called me the last time that my mom went in the hospital and said that, you know, your mom fell in the shower and she's been unconscious and your aunt found her. We rushed her to the hospital. Like, I mean, that was just like a random Tuesday afternoon. Like, I never expected that that was going to propel into my mom being in a coma and, you know, like me never talking to her again and her dying. Like, I never thought that, you know? And, so yeah, so it's strange how like things that, you know, like with my aunt dying, you know, it's like Caroline talking about, you know, she's going into hospice today and if you want to visit her, and we were talking about visiting and everything, and then she was gone that afternoon, you know, and it's like, I can remember Caroline calling me and just being like, I need you to come over, I want you to come over here right now. I think she said need me, I think she was like, I need you now. I don't know, you know, it's just, I don't think you ever forget those moments of where you were, right? So I'm going to get off here now, and I'm going to go upload all this so that it gets done and posted, and yeah, so anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I never say that on my vlog, do I? I never do that. I always say that on my other channels. But anyway, I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing, what is today? Thursday. Tomorrow is Bachelor Weekend. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And remember these 3 very important things. 1, you can start your day over whenever you want. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but shh, don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. You might just be changing their day. Or their life, you don't know. Especially if it's somebody that you might fall in love with. If you need some romances and romanticals in your life, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and be kinder and love yourself a little bit more. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.